Okay, welcome everybody to this session at the Joomla DACH. I'm very happy to be here once again in Germany or in German-speaking countries more generally. And thank you to all the organizers of the event, because this is really a great event, as always. So this session is about the task scheduler, or also called scheduled tasks, if you search the internet. And all my presentations are available online on slides.wordweb.be. WordWeb is my company. I think there are now about 40 presentations, many of them about custom fields. Back then, when it was a new thing, and I was really playing a lot with it, but also about the Joomla API, web services, and about Cassiopeia and many different topics. So if you go on the website, you will have the whole list, and every time you have the link to the presentation. So in this case, is the first one. So the incredible possibilities offered by the scheduled task in Joomla. The first time I spoke about this, it was totally improvised, because it was at the unconference in Essen, which will happen again in March, I saw, which was very nice. So I was just going there to discover what an unconference was, and actually somebody said, "Oh yeah, but you should talk about something," and yeah. So I improvised this session, and after that, I made a more formal presentation, and I gathered even more information about the topic. And so actually what triggered this is that, as it happens regularly, sometimes there are new features, and even well-known Joomlers in the world who are references in the Joomla realm know the feature is there, but they have never taken the time to look at it more in detail. So and this is what happens with the task scheduler, is that many people know it's there, but have never played or never fully realized the power of it. So it was introduced with Joomla 4.1, that was in February 2022. And the goal here is not to be technical, it's more to, I've gathered a series of scheduled tasks which can be useful, and also the idea is that maybe after this you think, oh, I have a use case, and I can develop or have developed by someone a little task. Quite luckily, I'm not the first person in the world to speak about the scheduled tasks, so I give here all the links that I know, that I'm aware of. And among others, there is a presentation by Nicolas from Akiba, whom you know probably. So you should surely have a look at his presentations. It's very interesting, but also otherwise other ones by Joomshaper, TechFry, or etc. So actually, let's go and have a look. And actually, I had not thought of preparing a website. Let's take a website, and let me first also log in. Okay, so yeah, who am I? Internet connection is a bit slow. So this is a regular Joomla website, Joomla 5. So the current version is 5.1.4. And as you might know, you can now switch from light to dark mode. So I don't know what is best for this session. Maybe the light mode. Yep. Okay, so when you want to see the scheduled task, you go to System on the left menu and larger. Let me have a look. Yeah. Like this? Yeah. So under the Manage block, you have Scheduled Tasks. Here on this website, I already have a few ones. The first one is one I developed. The 3 other ones are there just because I'm on Joomla 5. If you have a Joomla 4 website, there is nothing on this page. But with Joomla 5, there are a few things that Joomla was doing, like maintenance tasks, which were triggered by plugins, which have been moved to the scheduled task because it makes perfect sense to do that. So, but let's take a first example. If I click on New, then you will see that there are different, just like when you create a module, right? You can choose which one you like. And let's start with image size check, because this can be a useful one. For example, if you have end users, customers or clients or colleagues, even if you've told them so many times to resize the images before, because you explain them, if your image is 10 times too large, it's also 10 times too high. So it's 100 times too heavy. And if you have 10 images on your website, it can be huge. So, but even then, people forget or are not aware. So actually, with this scheduled task, what you can say, I will just show the first. I can give it a name. Okay, I want to resize my images. And then I can say, okay, at what frequency do I want to do this? And I can choose an interval in minutes, every 5 minutes, maybe not necessary for this example, or once every day or whatever. So you can just set an interval in minutes, hour, day, month. Let's say every 2 days, I don't know, at maybe at night, at 3:22 in the morning. Probably I'm not bothering too much, even if the website is working, resizing many images. It won't have any performance impact because I don't have many visitors. Well, it depends on your website, right? Maybe if it's a music club or whatever, maybe it's a peak hour. So you can set the interval, and then in the example of image resizing, it will ask you to select a folder. So on this website, I have a few folders, like for news or for films, whatever. So I can choose a folder, and then I can say what I want. Do I want to resize according to a given width or a given height? It depends on your needs. In my case, most of the time it's the width. And I could say, okay, on my website, I never need an image which is bigger than, I don't know, I'm saying something, 1,400 pixels. Or if I'm selecting the newsletter folder, in newsletters, I don't know whether you have already noticed, but sometimes you receive newsletters if you're using Outlook application for Windows. If you use the web version, it will all go fine. But sometimes images are larger than the newsletter, and Outlook, the computer on Windows, is not able to manage the size of the image and to put it 100%. So actually, it breaks the layout of... it's not that Microsoft is a small starter company just starting a new product that they didn't... I mean, it's just that they are running an old... they are not interpreting HTML correctly because it's a very old engine. And okay, so typically for newsletters, it's really worth saying, I take the newsletter folder and I resize all the images automatically to 600 pixels, because in my template for the newsletter, it's maximum 600 pixels. And that's also a good example. If it's an image for the website, maybe it's a banner image, and I choose 1400 pixels. Then I can also say how many images should be resized, because this is a question of performance. It depends on your use case. Maybe you have 1000 images and you don't want the website to work only for this resizing and not serving your real visitors. So you could say, oh yeah, only 10 images at a time, because anyway I have a maximum of 100. So in the worst case, it will run 10 times before it finishes all the images. And once you have done that, well, you can just click on Save and Close. Yeah, saving. And you're done. Here, I'm on real website, so I don't want to execute it because there are maybe images that they have uploaded. This is not a test website. But if I wanted to run the task just to check whether it works as expected, like for any task, there is a yellow button, well, yellow-orange button. So I want to resize image, and I can just click on this button and it runs. I can check whether everything is fine. And then afterwards we'll see how to automate that, because the goal of scheduled task is to automate a maximum of things. I'll just reopen it because, yes, Peter? Yeah, if you want to do both, you could create several instances. And also a little improvement could be, for example, to be able to select multiple folders, because here you have one drop down with only one folder at a time. So just like in the articles manager, you can filter by category and you can select multiple category. So yes, indeed, in this case, I would, if I wanted to resize different folders, I would have to duplicate my task at the moment. Yeah.
Is this the same problem for subfolders from films? Action, drama,
Yeah.
to do for every subfolder again, right?
I should check. I should create a subfolder and run it just to check whether it takes automatically the subfolders or not. I don't know. Or if it does not, it could also be an option. Include subfolders, yes or no. Include, exclude, or yeah. So here I went quickly in the execution rules, because I took the easy case every X minutes or every X days. But sometimes you want something more sophisticated, then you could use what is called a cron expression. So don't be afraid, because it's with an interface, so it's very easy to understand. Let's say you want it every Monday and Thursday at 3:39. Okay, that's it. I can have multiple selection in each column, and I can make something really more specific than just saying every 2 days at 3 a.m. So this can make sense. It depends on your needs. It's not very difficult. If you're used to real cron jobs from the terminal also, well, this is just the same, but with an interface. Yep.
What I not understand, or perhaps missing in the beginning, Joomla is a PHP tool that I make a GET request and get a response. How is that cron job working?
Yeah, yesterday I did a new section to my presentation, and this will come to the end. So this was a good teasing about how to trigger all those tasks. Here at the moment, I'm just showing different use cases, and I'm showing that I can run them manually to check with the yellow button. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. That's why I mentioned it. Yep, please.
I take the example from the images. If I want to have two sizes of an image, no? my problem would be I resized the first time, and the new original is already smaller. But I want additionally a second size.
Okay.
What I do?
This also comes at the end of the session where I say, here I show like 10 or 15 examples of tasks, existing tasks, but afterwards the sky is the limit because you can duplicate an existing task and add your own parameters or even have a specific need which is unique to you. And I have a few of them. Some are complex, some are really easy, and I will show them. But that's the idea. We can use what's existing. We already have like 10, 15 examples, but you can also create them. So that's the interesting part. And if you cannot code yourself, well, you can just, there are enough competent people here at Joomla DACH, so you can meet someone and have it done for you, because it's no big deal. It's probably a few lines of code in your example where you would like to keep the original image or whatever. Probably is just 3 lines of code to add. I cannot write them live, but it's not that complicated. So that's the first example. And another one that I like, which is in core in Joomla 5. It was not in core in Joomla 4, but I have an ersatz for that. It's the check-in, because again, end users, right? So I've told them so many times, well, if you open an article, front end, back end, does not matter, you have 2 big buttons. Save if you want to save, cancel if you want to cancel. But I don't know, people don't realize that the article is waiting for a decision, and people are just surfing. So in the they close the browser, or they click on back, forward, or they go away at the end of the day, and after that they are logged out or whatever. I don't even know how they manage, but it never happens to me. But it happens very regularly, and in that case, sometimes it's annoying, because if it's locked by the same person or another person, well, you can't edit it anymore. If you're in the backend, you have a little padlock, right, showing that it's locked. There it's easy, because if you're a backend user, you just click on the padlock, it frees, it makes it free, right? The article or the category or the whatever, menu item. But if you're editing from the front end, and many times I tend to, most of the time I tend to make it easy for end users, and everything or almost can be done from the front end. And there is no padlock to click, so they are really stuck. If they edit from the front end, they have no way to free the article. So here it's really nice, because this global check-in, again, you can determine the frequency, like once a day or once every hour. But then you will say, okay, let's say every hour. Then you will say, yes, but, well, before, when people were calling me, oh, Mark, I have an issue, I cannot edit, I would just click in Joomla, there is a button, check in, but it checks everything in right now. So maybe somebody was really working now on an article or whatever, and then somebody else opens it and there is a conflict, because it could happen, but it was the only solution, right? I was just not bothering and just checking in everything. Here it's smarter, because not only you automate it, but you can also say, yes, but we don't want to check in everything. You have a kind of safety parameter where you can say, okay, let's suppose maybe 1 hour, maybe somebody opened the article 1 hour ago, or any item. Could be possible that the person is slow or is busy on the phone, and okay, so maybe I want to be on the safe side. I can say 2 hours. If an article was open and 2 hours after it has not been saved, probably it has just been forgotten or closed or whatever. So this is really handy, and you can just save and close. what I did not mention is that you have also a few other parameters on the tabs. So you can also give it a priority. So here at the moment I'm just triggering them manually, but after that we will see how to trigger them, all the tasks automatically. So then you can put priorities, because maybe resizing the images would take time, and this you want absolutely to be done. So you could say, oh, it's a high priority, so that every time your website is triggered to say, hey, now execute all tasks, for each one it will check, okay, is it now the moment? Oh no, it's not the moment for this one, because the rule is every Tuesday. Okay, we are not on Tuesday, so it will go through every task and see, okay, do I do it or no, or not? And for those who will be which will be triggered, it will take into account the priority. You can also enable or disable some logs. So maybe if you have something more tricky and you want to check what's happening. And you can also get a notification by email if the task is a success or if the task is a failure. Maybe I don't need a notification if it's a success, because if I do a global checking every 5 minutes, I don't want to get an email every 5 minutes. But for a failure, yes, because maybe it was working fine for 6 months and suddenly something happens, something is broken, then at least I'm aware of that. So all these tabs we have on all the tasks, basically. There is, yep. I click on help and there is nothing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that because when I was coding some, I'm more an integrator than a developer, even if I have some notions of PHP. So when I was coding my first task, sometimes it would just hang because something was not good, so it was not closing. And if it's not closed, maybe it's blocking other tasks from running and stuff. So maybe you want to know if something strange happens. But I did not, test it, this orphaned thing. Then you also have a history so that you know when it last ran, or to check if everything is normal. You also have details, just like for anything. You can see who created it, blah, 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 and permissions in case you would like to restrict the access to a certain task according to the user groups and stuff like that. So these are two nice ones that you find in the core, but you have more in the core. If I go again on new and I don't filter on anything, let's go quickly through the existing ones. We have delete actions log. This is one made by Joomla itself, so that you can say how long you want to keep the actions log. So maybe you know when users do things on the website, you can enable actions log, so that in the menu users actions log, you see who has done what and when. Very handy when people call you, oh, something is, there is a typo and there was no typo, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, but your colleague edited 5 minutes ago. No, I'm not the only one. Ask him. Are you busy? Oh yes, I was busy editing. Okay, so that's it. Very handy to have a way to keep track. Or sometimes you've done things and you don't know anymore. So, and here you can define how long you want to keep the actions log and stuff like that. Expiration of privacy consents. Joomla can manage privacy consents. So here you can also, same principle, say how long you want to keep them. The rotation of the logs, so that you don't keep logs forever, same ID. Session data purge. Okay, these are all the maintenance, the Joomla maintenance things. Session data purge, again, same story. Joomla update notification. Some people don't like to get, well, I would not need to get an email from my 100 websites to know that there is a new version of Joomla, because I'm so aware of the release dates. Okay, but yeah.
May I have another question? What's the difference between delete action logs and rotate the logs?
Yeah, one is the actions log to know who has done what when, and the other one is are the logs like the error logs and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. The Joomla update. Okay, so obviously not everybody needs to get a notification. Reset hits. That's one I made with a friend, and I will mention it later. Then another one, Akibia backup. This one is not from core, but some extensions come along now with scheduled tasks because it's a good way to implement actions that you can customize according to the frequency and stuff like that. Same Akiba backup, the CLI, the command line backup. Image size check we've just seen. A get request. That can be handy. So actually a get request, you can put a URL, and when the task will be executed automatically, because if it's manual then you could just open the URL in the browser, but well, it will call this URL. So for example, if you want to trigger a newsletter tool, AC mailing or another, you can do it with a URL in the front end. So you don't even need an external web cron thing, or so this is the kind of usage you can call, or if there is an API that you want to trigger on some external website, or a script that you have on your own website. Okay, you just give an URL and it's done, and it can also manage authorization, and either with a bearer or an X Joomla token. So yeah, that can be handy in some cases. So what do we have? It was almost the end of the native ones. Toggle offline. Yeah, for example, there is a shop where I buy Gouda, so cheese from the Netherlands, and for some reason on the Sunday, okay, the physical shop is closed, but they also want their website to be closed. So you cannot order your cheese. It's not that I wanted the cheese to be sent on Sunday, but I cannot even order. The website is just, it's Sunday, come back tomorrow. Okay. No, but okay, I respect every opinion. That's not the matter. It's just funny for me. But so in that case, you could toggle online, offline, and say every Sunday it's offline and again it's online. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It's where I buy my cheese. my Gouda, not the French cheese, but if I want, right?
This was in Joomla. They did it manually every night.
It's only on Sunday. Yeah, but if it's not automated, it means that they are working to set it offline. So I don't know whether it's authorized or not. But yeah, it's a real life example. Maybe there are other examples, but it's the only one I found. Set a website online. Maybe I'm busy talking to you now, and for a customer, I'm supposed to launch a website right now at 11:30, but I'm not available. So I could even automate that and say, okay, at this time the website goes live. Or if it's a ticketing website, why not? Yeah.
Updates to products in the shop, for instance, you're doing like once per night at midnight. Then for 5 minutes you may want to put the, the site offline.
Good example.
and then you use the get request to trigger the previous task to trigger the download of the data from wherever you were doing that, getting that, and then you put the site back online. So that's automation.
Yeah.
Kind of automation.
I think there are many use cases around e-commerce with scheduled tasks like that. But I don't do e-commerce, so I don't have those real life. Yeah, is to set online or offline. And global check-in we saw already, yeah.
Or manager without global configuration.
access, and you can't change it at administrator, the online or offline status. You can did it with the Task Scheduler as administrator. Darf ich auf Deutsch?
No, in German it will be.
Also kann das jemand übersetzen?
I think what you want to say is that if you don't have access rights, you still have to set online.
Yes.
You could create a task,
Yeah.
and then with the web cron trigger the task manually. You
Yeah, I think.
Set your site online yourself.
Also es respektiert das nicht.
That's a nice
Du kannst fragen, ob das nicht respektiert wird, also die User Access Levels werden außen vor gelassen. Ne?
The user access levels not considered. Because just a
No,
link.
usually
I mean, here the user access level is taken into account, like if I don't want to show to somebody this and that task, okay, it will be hidden from the backend, but all the tasks which are set up will be triggered every time I trigger automatically with a cron or with what we will see. Yeah. But here, okay, there is still my last chapter, stated again, about how to trigger, because I could say that I don't allow triggering from outside. So it's a different topic. ACL is to allow people to edit the stuff, for example, but it does not prevent the task from executing. And how I execute trigger is another topic. Yeah. Yeah, you could. Well, you could imagine, okay, tricky situations like that, but probably, yeah, you could. So in the, I'll go further, otherwise I will be cut at the end, and you won't know how to trigger them. So my three favorite ones among the native ones, okay, apart from maintenance things, but are the global check-in, image size check, because there is a use case for almost every website, and also maybe the get request, because it's a kind of web cron that you have yourself. So, but now the nice things is that people have started developing scheduled tasks. So we have third-party plugins. I was mentioning this check-in. This is now native in Joomla since Joomla 5. But if you still have Joomla 4 websites running, and it's just fine, it's still maintained, right? It's your right to do that. But Tobias proposes a plugin that you can install on the Joomla 4 to do exactly that. Another one by Tom van der Laan from the Netherlands is auto-delete files. So you can select a folder and say that files which are older than, I don't know, 6 months are deleted. When I first saw that, I thought, oh, okay, good, but what's the use case? When would I want to delete old images or other stuff? Okay, and in his case, the need was, he has a form on the website where visitors can upload a document, and after some time, you don't need them anymore. So you can delete them. Or maybe it's for images, because maybe you have a forum and you don't want to bother about all images. Okay, maybe there are other use cases. But the example of a form with a PDF or whatever, which is uploaded by people, after some time, you don't need to keep them. So you can, I see you're interested. That's another one. You can also change different parameters of articles automatically. So there I have two solutions for that. The first one is by KickTemp, and the KickTemp people are here. They are from Hamburg, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Yeah, Niels and Stefan. And a third person, I've forgotten her name. So the kicktemp manage article is very nice because you can move articles from any category to another category when older than so many days. And based on the different dates which are native in Joomla, the creation date, modification date, publication date, or end of publication date. So this is a good start and it can be very handy. Typically the use case for that is when you want to archive articles which are older than 1 year, I put them in an archive category. Or events, yeah. But if you're speaking about events, my trigger, my reference would not be the creation date or the modification date or the publication date. It will more be a custom field, start of the concert or start of the anything, or end of the event. So actually for that we have here Elisa somewhere, who developed CCC Time Warp. So it's the same spirit as the kicktemp task. The kicktemp one is free. CCC Time Warp is paid like 30 something euro, but it's more powerful because you can do many more things. So you can move articles to a different category depending on a certain date, but also based on any custom field. So if you have a custom field, start of event or end of event, it's good. And also you can change other stuff, like change the publication status, going from, I don't know, published to unpublished or whatever, or change the access level. And the example for that, if you have a website for members and you want, when there are news, your members have a privilege and they are the only ones having access to the news for, I don't know, 4 weeks. And after that, those news can become public. So it could be that those articles are registered by default and you set them public after 4 weeks. Yep, this I mentioned. So I give different links, and Elisa made a presentation 1 month, in end of July on Tim Davis' YouTube channel. So you can also have a look at a more detailed presentation about that. Another one is one I made with Marc Dechèvre, because for a given website, it's a website gathering thousands of movies for, okay, it doesn't matter, but 4,000 thousands of movies. And on the homepage, they wanted to show the most visited articles, the most visited movies in this case. But of course, if a film has been there on the website for 3 years, and there is a new, very popular film on the website, it will never catch up the billions of views of the previous one. So actually, we want to reset the hits in Joomla, because in Joomla, that's a native feature. You can enable or disable the recording of the hits of the articles. So if it's enabled, 5 minutes, okay. If it's disabled, you can enable it. And here you could say, every month, I want to reset the hits. So on my homepage, I show the most visited films, but of the last 30 days. I will just go quickly, and after that we'll make questions. Yeah?
That would be handy if you could store the actual hits, so not to lose the overall information. If you reset them every month, you don't know whether a film got.
Then it's your own plugin that you can add, where you can add features. But I'll go quickly because I want to mention them all. Another one is that you can also another need where I wanted to synchronize my custom fields with some external web service, because it's a kind of huge diary, but there is an official central database, open data. But on my website I have articles with address, phone number, president, blah blah blah. And before, people had to do that manually. When they had time, they would go to the official source and see, oh, that association has moved, I have to change the address. here it's just a task saying, oh, for all articles of this category, see what is the ID on the external database. Okay, go and fetch. You have a JSON, and it says address, number, phone number, blah, blah, blah. And I just copy paste this information in my custom fields. So, and then they can say it's automated every day or every month, whatever, or manually if they want to get control on that. And that's one I made with Dimitris Grammatikogiannis. Deleted trash, that's by Nicola Galgano. So you can also empty your trash automatically. That can be handy to avoid. Sometimes you want to, the alias is already taken by some article or whatever, and but where is it? And it's in the trash. So here you could avoid that. Auto update, that's by TechFry, and it's more to play with the database, that you can update any column or delete any record from your database. So the use case can be anything, but you can directly play on the database. Force password reset. Yep, if you want that your users change password every month, whatever, every year, you can do that with this task. Manage inactive users. Also, sometimes you have false accounts like robots or maybe humans, but they create an account and they don't validate their email if there is a validation email. So here you can say that, okay, all the people who have not validated after 7 days, well, it's done, and you delete them. It avoids having thousands of false users in your database. Another one by Claudia, also from Germany. It's a bit like my example of going to an external API web service. She also did something for a job board to synchronize data with an external database. Then I'm not putting any kind of pressure on him, but he is here somewhere. When we met at the Joomla Unconference, we talked about having a kind of generic scheduled task which would allow to run any query. So if you have anything special, you would not need to create a real plugin. You would just put your query, SQL query in it, and it would execute it. Of course, it could also mean delete everything, right? But like, yeah, for example. Very funny, funny joke to make. You can also migrate user profiles to custom fields. That's one from KickTemp. And then, as I was mentioning, some extensions are shipped with their own scheduled tasks, like Akiba Backup or Admin Tools or ROCSVI by Roland Dahlmülder, or Perfect Web Team, ACL, or ICAShop, etc. So, or maybe even more examples. And if you're aware of any scheduled task, because sometimes it's just on GitHub. Somebody had a need, it's available on GitHub. It's not on the JET because it's a small thing, so it's not worth, it's not commercial, whatever. So please tell me so that I can add them to the list. It's interesting for everybody. Yeah, and it's only the start, because it can only give IDs, and if you share your own task, we can make it better. So there are plenty of ideas of things that we could do with that. So I mentioned a few of them, and then last but not least, if I still have 1 minute, how to trigger the tasks. Well, if you want to trigger them manually, you just have the yellow button is good enough, but the whole point is to automate, probably. If you want to automate, then you need to have a trigger which will run regularly. Your trigger can be every minute, because what it will do is that it is triggered, it will see in the task, is there anything to do now? Oh no, and maybe, but the trigger can be every minute. It will only really do something in the task according to the configuration of the task. Is it every Monday, every month, every year, whatever? So there are different ways to do it, and I refer to the presentation of Nicolas, and also on his website he has a detailed documentation, because the Joomla official documentation is a little bit empty around that. So one way to do it, probably the best way, if you're able to do it. I mean, if you know what is a cron job, if you can go to the panel of your host to configure a real cron job, that's the best way, because it's the most efficient. There is no timeout, whatever. So that's the best way to do it. And actually, it used command line of Joomla, and you say that you want to execute the scheduler and to run all tasks. You could also be specific and only run one task, but since you can configure in your task when it should run, actually here you should also always set it to all, because then it's done forever and you only configure your plugin, your task plugins. Alternatively, you could use a web cron. This is maybe easier for non-technical person, because there are online services where you can do that. But it could be expensive. If you execute it every minute, it could be a certain amount of money, and also it's a bit less efficient, because it's calling the URL of your website. So a series of things are executed for nothing, because we just need to trigger the task, not to call the whole Joomla thing, plus timeout or stuff like that. Or if you want something really easy, there is a lazy scheduler. So if you go in the options, I could quickly show that. Where do I have that? Oh yeah, I was busy. Okay. If I go in the options, the lazy scheduler, there I need nothing. The mere fact, the simple fact that somebody is or a robot is visiting my website will trigger the task scheduler, which would say, oh, do I have something to do? Yes or no. So that's very handy. It's also called the poor man's cron. But if you have a very touchy task, like running a backup, or things which are time sensitive, like for a web shop, you want it to happen at a precise moment. You don't want to depend on a potential visitor. So it can be done. But it's the best way would be to do a real cron. And yeah, with this, have fun and enjoy the power of Joomla.